Hey, I'm Jeff, and I make music with my brother.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I also make music with my brother.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack, and we make music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
One of my favourite DJs to watch DJ is Andy C. Always.
Yes.
There's like, as long as he's been playing, as long as I've been seeing him, he's always been someone I've come back to and been like, yeah, I like that mix. I like the way he mixes. Like, we've discussed the way he mixes. He seems very, is it musical? Is it like he still loves the element of surprise? And I like what I'm being surprised with. He's like always been consistently not just a showman of like how many tunes I can play. He's always been like had a musicality and a classiness to him.
Well, I think he's always mixed that way, and it's everyone else that hasn't always mixed that way.
Yeah,
like, people have mixed always in key, but Andy kind of cemented the teasing, the triple dropping stuff early on, and people then kind of emulated that.
Yeah, and not to say I don't love, Ed Friction or
Alex
MC, like all these.
Andy.
Yeah, but Andy has his own style, and those guys have cultivated their own styles as well. But seeing him play always kind of, he's still got a snuffle. And
well, there's something
it's exciting. It's exciting.
There's excitement, but that's also, seeing everyone DJ is exciting. With Andy, you know that he's got the newest tunes. With Andy, you know that he's probably going to play the most unreleased tunes. He's also been doing it for so long that you know that there's that prerequisite. He's had the dubs for the last 15 years, and even if, say, Friction
and beyond,
or AMC or something like that, there's not as much expectation because there's not as much timeline that's been built. But we've been watching Andy perform since we were 18.
Yeah.
And, it's similar with Friction, but I think Andy was already kind of having those dub plates.
There was an era where Friction was my favorite DJ though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that he's fallen off or anything. That's not the case at all. It's just, there's always a top guy that makes you go, oh, gives you that kick. And I think for me, Andy, when was the last time we saw him before
Rhythm and Vines?
Yeah, before
in
Rhythm.
Perth.
Oh, yeah.
At Metros. I mean, me, you and Fendi.
Yes.
And Leon were upstairs.
Yes.
But
before that, I think Friction was my favorite DJ. It was about rediscovering Andy again.
There's also something about, oh my goodness, excuse me, my nose is still blocked. I'm still congested. #congested. So sorry, my voice is a bit nasally, and I will try to blow my nose away from the microphone when I speak on it. The other thing was because he was head of Ram Records, you know that he had dub plates from Culture Shock, Sub Focus, Chasing Status, Lodestar, Wilkinson. Like, he had all those early songs from some of the biggest heavy hitters that other people might not have had access to. Like, I know Andy still plays unreleased Sub Focus tunes that have never come out, but Nick would have sent them to him 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's like another element of excitement.
Yeah. Yeah. There is always that element of like, oh, what's he going to do next? Which a good DJ should have.
And I would say AMC, Alex has the same thing, except more so, I think he has more edits. Yeah. Like, he's got AMC VIPs of stuff. He's got stuff he's bootlegged just quickly in a hotel room that he just smashes into his set that he doesn't necessarily send other people.
Yeah, his sets are also a bit more heavy. Like, they're a bit more tech influenced, perhaps.
They're more aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive, perhaps.
Yeah, more techie than Andy.
Yeah. But the reason we're talking about this is because it's so cool to see Andy C playing our new tune, No Good For Me.
Yes. It came out last week.
Yeah, the other week. And
Andy's been playing it. He played it at Rampage. That's like the video that we saw. And then we saw him play it. He played it on Rhythm and Vines.
we played it on New Year's. We actually bumped into him in the car park.
Yeah.
We were going over to the hotel to see some of the other guys, and
Ton and Andy came out
just like
of the car.
got out of the car with
Out of Trev's car.
Trey's car, and they'd driven up from Hawke's Bay or somewhere.
Yeah, Hawke's Bay.
And so it was that perfect time, just like have a quick chat. And then we're like, "Oh, did you get the tunes?" He's like, "Yep, all three of them are in the set tonight."
And he was like, I played them last night as well. They sound sick.
Yep.
Which was a wicked affirmation.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And it was cool to also see messages, or we got messages saying like, "Oh, it went off when he played it at the O2." It's just cool to know people playing music. Like, Carl was playing it when he was on tour in Europe recently, which I just remembered why he isn't here.
Yes.
Because he's in London.
Yep.
And like K9's been playing it. Friction's been playing some other of our new stuff. It's cool just to see other people playing your songs.
Because it's feedback you don't often get.
Yeah. Unless
you're in the club and you go, "Oh, it's my tune."
Or unless it's such a sick tune that a DJ responds to you straight away. Like when you sent the 17 bootleg to Rob to mention,
and he called me.
Rob called you and was like, "What the fuck?" And then played it on his stream like a couple of days later.
Yeah.
And held up a sign saying, "I fucking love this tune." Sweet. But most rarely you just, we don't message DJs saying like,
"Are you playing my song?"
Or "I'm playing your song."
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to know, but when it permeates through the atmosphere,
yeah, it's cool.
And appears in a video or something like that, you're like, "Whoa, that is cool." And it kind of like the young person in me goes, "Oh, sick. Andy's playing the tune."
Yeah, well, that's something that you remind yourself of.
Mm.
You tell 18-year-old Jeff and Jono, Andy C is going to be playing your music one day and be happy to and be excited. You'd be like, no way. No, I won't. That's crazy. But instead we go, yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's focus on something. Get like, we're really struggling to write this song at the moment. Like you, it's funny how you get to points in your career or with something you're accomplishing, and when you finally get the thing, sometimes it's not as. When you're more naive, you think you're going to be happier with the thing when you get it. But the more experience you get, and the more you evolve, and the more you move up, the less special something can get just by perception. You might be playing the biggest festival in the world and in front of 1,000 people. And then you're like, but they didn't dance as hard to that new song we made. I think the mix is fucked on it. Like, it's funny how you focus on such a small part of it.
The people in business class are wondering what the people in first class are getting for dinner.
Yeah. And it's probably the same thing.
That's probably not.
Well,
but there's
really, I've never been in first class or business class. I've only been in business class once.
But there's a reason that there's a common economy, premium economy, business first, and then I don't know if there's anything after first. And a private jet.
I'd rather fly first than a private jet.
Well, it depends if your timing and your access requires you to be on a private jet.
Oh, yeah.
All these kinds of factors. But, like, it's funny, like, there's always something. There's always someone else. If you got paid $500 million, you'd be like, well, that guy's getting paid $600 million, and that allows that person to do that thing.
Yeah.
It's like Emirata got cheated on by her. She was married, and that guy cheated on her. And she's, like,
the hottest girl.
One of the most attractive women in the world. Obviously, the person wanted something else. And also, it's not about her. It's more about him.
Yeah. Yeah, but you always want more. It's like the human need to... it's like we're always looking for exponential growth. We're always looking to evolve, to get better, to increase. Not many people see stagnation as...
Well, stagnation is one thing, but to remain static as
Yeah.
stagnant kind of suggests that you're still and it's getting bad. Like a stagnant
pool of water
rather
than
water.
a static pool of water.
A still pool of water versus a stagnant pool of water.
I think that's just built into us through society, through capitalism, and that kind of permeates down. Because it's interesting, like you don't see hunter-gatherers looking
at all in Australia.
Looking for new ways to do things.
But they do.
But they're like, they've got something. They've got something that works, and like that's how we do it, and it's perfected to a certain degree. But it's not like they're looking to then improve on that. Like it's definitely an innate human instinct to want to be better at things, but I think it's more of a
capitalist view,
capitalist and industrialized, new age, new world view of like it can be better. Even the idea, I've heard comedians talk about it before, like get a hobby, and people struggle not to monetize that hobby. Oh, I wish I could just learn to draw more, or I wish I could do pottery. And then instantly in your head you go, oh, but what if I sold my pottery? What if I did this? Like you're thinking about how to capitalize on this thing that I love or this skill rather than just, I love the process, so that's just what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You think about the next step.
Yeah. Back to the tune, what is the next step? Or can we just go like, this is great, it's getting amazing support, we can't wait to play it, let's keep going with it. That's where you kind of got to be. Like you've kind of got to hold yourself in that like, this is really good, rather than being like, that's cool, but you might not play the next one.
No, I think you just, you be in the moment and enjoy it. And you ever ask someone how they are? They're like, yeah, I'm all right, but you know, someone's just in a perpetual state of, next one.
When this happens, I'll be better.
Yes. When this happens, I'll be better. Or when this stops happening, I'll be better.
Yeah, definitely. I've been
rather than
myself.
People that are just like, yeah, I'm good today.
Yeah.
This thing happened. Kind of sucks, but like, whatever. It'll get better tomorrow.
Acceptance and radical acceptance.
Acceptance and moving on. And also like recognizing when something good is happening, enjoying the good thing. Because often people don't want to enjoy the good thing because having a good thing might mean that around the corner is a bad thing. You can only go down.
Or you can, based on the proximity. Not proximity. Based on the fact, if like, think of it on a graph. If you're at a 10, yes, of course, if something happens that is a 9, it is worse than a 10, but it's better than a 6. If you're at a 6, you just keep going up.
Yeah.
The problem is that you can't go from 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 and just never feel bad again.
No, that's impossible. But to enjoy a moment in time, this time being, Andy C's playing our tune. Fuck yeah, we should celebrate that. That's sick. I'm so excited. That's cool. I'm going crazy now, let alone 18-year-old Jono.
You're bonkers.
I'm losing it.
Losing it.
And taking that energy into the next thing. Cool.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't play the next one, who cares?
I suppose it's, I heard recently a podcast that Rick Rubin did with Phil Jackson, the basketball coach. Chicago Bulls, Lakers coach as well. But maybe most famously for one of the coaches of Michael Jordan and that iconic Bulls team. And he said one important thing when you're being a coach is to kind of keep an even keel. When you win, that's great. Whoop. Sorry about that. Yeah, the Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls coach, says that it's important to keep an even keel when you're a coach. I mean, he says a bunch of other great stuff as well. It's a cool rambling podcast. But he says keeping an even keel because when you win, you want to be like, great, let's go on with the next one. And when you lose, you go, great, on to the next one. He
Yeah.
remembers an old coach of his was asked in a post game interview, like, what are you going to, you guys got beaten tonight. What are you going to do about tomorrow's game? What are you going to do differently tonight? And he goes, I'm going to do anything different. I'm going to go home, have a steak, have a whiskey, go to bed, get up tomorrow and do it again. And I think, some people might look at that as being like, whoa, you're never happy and you're never sad. That's crazy. But like, really, it's not about that. You can be ecstatic, and you can be incredibly unhappy. But it's about being able to return to that middle ground more quickly and more stably.
Yeah. It's your response.
Yes.
You didn't get this show. Oh, that sucks. Or you did get the show. Oh, that's great.
I think in this modern era, a lot of the not getting or the getting is so tied to our personality and so tied to our kind of belief of our goodness and who we are.
Well, it's tied to our intrinsic value because everyone's a brand. Everyone's got followers. Everyone's got a thing they're selling. There's a brand of Jonathan Hansen, just like there's a brand of Ekko and Sidetrack.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't like your brand, or if someone doesn't like your photo, that's them basically saying, I don't like you, which is not true, but that's the binary black and white scenario that social media and the internet creates.
Yeah. I do have to go in about 8 minutes, so I'm going to just mention something that came into my head based on a book I'm reading.
Sure.
I'm reading a book called Creativity Inc.
Yep.
By Ed Catmull, who is one of the founding members of Pixar. He was also there in the early days of ILM. And the book is basically creative management. Bless you. Guide to creative management and like solutions that encourage creativity within the framework of Pixar. So most of his stories revolve around things they did at Pixar.
Yep.
Do at Pixar. And one interesting point he brings up that kind of, bless you, dovetails into what you were just saying about, bless you, always looking for the next thing, is that he has a chapter called Feeding the Beast and Protecting the Ugly Baby. You okay? He's reaching total body shutdown on the podcast live.
I'm back. Sorry.
He has a chapter called Feeding the Beast and Killing the Ugly Baby. Protecting the Ugly Baby. And Feeding the Beast is creating to satisfy the customer whose wants keep on growing. The example he gave is Disney hitting it out of the park with Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King between 89 and 94. And then they distributed Toy Story, and then it was just like they created this unbelievable hunger to the point where they do focus on like all sequels went to directed to video. They could be a little bit less quality, and it was just like there was just this beast that had to be fed, the Disney animation beast. Like, let's keep doing it. They hired more people.
People's hunger for good animation.
Exactly. They settled for less quality, and they just said, we just have to feed the beast. And everything suffered. Like, they didn't have a number one movie for like the next 16 years because they focused more on satisfying the customer and just churning them out rather than getting good, creative, and emotionally connecting stories like the ones that had connected earlier.
Yep.
And the reason it kind of dovetails in with the protecting your ugly baby is because all ideas at the start are ugly babies that probably would satisfy the beast, but they're not satiating. They're just like, yeah, cool, that'll do, give it to us, we'll just churn it out. And it's not very good. But if you have an idea that is good, that is a baby, it's ugly at the moment, like a bit like this tune at the moment.
Yeah.
You're like, it's kind of up to the stewardship of everyone to be like, there's something here. We've got to protect it or protect it for a while to let it grow and like foster it and change it and move it and like make it something that can stand up on its own, because that's going to hit way better than something that just gets churned out the door.
Yeah.
So don't fall into the trap of feeding the beast when you should be protecting your ugly baby.
Yeah. That's a good thing to think about. Especially like feeding the beast is also taking into assuming way too much about the end product. Like and the people that are going to consume the end product.
Absolutely.
You think about all the disruptors in culture, be them, Pixar, Toy Story was a good example. Who knew that would have been a thing? Who knew that would have been such a big statement and a cultural change?
One thing he does say about that, he goes, yes, it was the first completely computer-generated movie, but that's not what the critics talked about. The critics talked about the good story, the emotional
that's
connection,
the bit I just got
everything. To. It's like, it's not about it being a CGI movie.
No, it's about the story.
So you can't like rely on your tools.
No.
And just like we talked about before, like the gimmick is not the end product.
No.
Making a song from banging a door, if that's the end product, but the song isn't very good, then it's never going to connect.
The song is the end.
Yeah.
Product. Yeah, so I think like, is it feeding the beast or tending to the baby?
Well, it's just
feeding the baby.
No, protecting
the baby and feeding the beast.
Yeah, because feeding the beast as well. You like look at the way the music industry is at the moment. Like you've got artists being told they have to put out a tune every 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
because they've got to keep people satiated. They've got to be like, well, we put out a tune and people are like, that's cool. Where's Tarantula? That's cool. What's the next one?
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys doing anything with that? It's like, that is the beast. That's the very definition of the beast. And you probably can't fight it to some degree.
Yeah.
Because that's what's required. But you can also be like, I'm only going to give quality food.
Yeah.
And maybe less often than some, but quality is more important than quantity.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to lose the race to the bottom of like just giving people the most. Because we have a high quality threshold. We want to release good music and we're not the fastest producers. So we should focus on quality and lean into that rather than being like, we need to become faster producers so we can just churn out, 6 out of 10 tunes.
Well, there's I can think of examples of people that just churn out tunes and that makes their art suffer because they just go, here's a bunch of music. I'm going to give you a song every week or whatever. I think as a marketing tool that can be interesting, but not as a way to do things.
And if you can like get into a groove of making a tune a week and finishing it, and after 10 weeks you'll have 10 finished tunes. One of those, if you have decent taste, will probably be pretty good. Yeah. So there you have your one.
Yeah.
But if you want to share them over the course of a year, that's cool. You're giving someone a product every week.
Yeah.
Or but they're not very happy with until you get to that really good one. But you've already lost them along the way.
Yeah. It's funny when you think about the audience as a beast or like who's going to ingest your art as a beast and how to ride that line between, obviously catering to your audience to a certain degree, but also catering to yourself first and foremost.
And knowing your audience is a great thing to know. Like sometimes I've thought, well, I wonder if this artist released this song we just made, how it would go.
Yeah.
Is it that we just don't have enough fans? Is it like a numbers game? And I'm like, yeah, but also our audience is looking for a certain thing from us.
Yeah. So
it's good to serve them something like they expect from us. Just like if we made a house tune, people would be like, cool, that's a cool house tune. When's your next drum and bass song?
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so you've got to ride that. You've really got to ride that line. And he talks more in the book about tactics and how not to get swept up in it, but also how to use it as, understanding there is a beast there,
Yeah.
you're never going to overcome it, and you can't ignore it because otherwise it'll devour itself from the inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be conscious of that beast and how it affects you and your output.
Watch out for the beast.
Watch out for the beast. Jonathan, I think you should...
Blow my nose a million more times? Yes. That's exactly what I wanted to do. You need to go.
I need to go. But I will see you when I get back. I love
Sounds
you.
Good. I love you too.
I'll chat to you soon.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on all social media. We've recently updated our YouTube. Go and give that a subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the latest video podcasts. And follow us on Spotify too so you can keep up to date with all our latest music releases. Big up!